right, Twitch, you with me? Oh, Twitch is here. How about you, YouTube? YouTube's here. Gang's all here. Greetings. Salutations all. You guys know, it's Friday. It's Gus-Talks. It means we're drinking. Good drink, good smoke, and good company. Thank you guys for providing the lattermost. See if I can manage to not drop this giant bottle. Good thing I have these giant freaking hands. Those of you who are perhaps joining us for the first time, welcome. Welcome to these things we call Gus-Talks. I'm particularly excited about tonight, though to be fair, I'm excited about every Gus-Talk. I got a lot of notions to process out loud. Tonight's topic, we're talking about when it stops being fun. I'm pretty sure this is something that everyone understands. When something that you love, something that brings you life, something that brings you joy, something that brings happiness to your day, to your life, when does it cross the line from being a hobby, something fun, something life-giving, to being a chore, a burden, something life-taking? That's what we're gonna talk about tonight. To you, my wonderful friends, the company that I'm privileged to keep in doing this thing week in, week out. To you, friends. Okay, when it stops being fun. This is a phenomenon that I think, again, is ubiquitous. I think we've all dealt with this in one fashion or another. I think it's part of the human experience. As I've gone over this and I've thought of examples from my own life, it seems to me that everyone has an example of when something fun to you, because this is an individualized thing, stops being fun. Hobbies turn into chores. Passions turn to obligations. Love turns to resentment. I'm not just here to point out the problems. I'm not just here to point out that this phenomenon exists. I think I may have a solution. Oh, the example that I want to give to kick this thing off is from about 5 weeks ago. I went on a trip with my men's group and we went golfing. I am not a golfer. I learned how to I learned how to Garfield. That is a verb if you're not familiar with it. I learned how to consume large amounts of lasagna when I was young from my Italian family. Wait, that's not the topic, talking about Garfielding. Huh. You learned a new verb tonight. I am not a golfer. I golfed in high school, and so I know how to golf. I know the technique, but mostly just for a swing, and that's it. Besides that, I've golfed for like realsies once, and it was for a Marines bachelor party. We did it in the rain at the coast, and we were ridiculous, and we didn't keep score at all, and everybody was just smoking cigars and drinking, and it was the best. It was so much fun. Holy crap. But that first trip, there's a telling detail, and it's exactly the point of where I'm going with this. That first trip, it was like 9 of us golfing. One of us was a fairly serious golfer, took it seriously, knew what he was doing. He was miserable the whole time. For those of you familiar with golf, you're gonna cringe and cringe and cringe at the rest of this story. And that's part of my point. Meanwhile, the rest of us, we each got a golf cart. We drove around like madmen. We were like doing drive-by golf swings out the cart. We were madness. And we were drinking and smoking, and it was so much fun. Lost the ball constantly. We're fishing around in streams for spare balls. It was hysterical. We were dying. It was so much fun. We broke every rule of golf. We weren't keeping score. We were shooting out of turn. We were doing dangerous things. You name it. And we were living. It was one of my favorite memories. It was such a fun trip. Except for that one guy. We had a blast and he didn't. Why? Fast forward. Now we're at this trip. I just go on this golfing trip with my buddies. I still don't know how to golf. That's my one golfing story from the past. That's golfing to me in my brain. And I'm there with a dozen guys again. And all but 2 of us take golf fairly seriously. A couple of them are amateurs, but they're getting into it and they're starting to take it a little more seriously. Me and one other guy named Joel, good guy, don't golf. We don't know anything about it. We don't really care. Not gonna stress about it. We needed help renting clubs. Everybody else brought their own clubs, right? We rented. I said, wow, whatever cheapest, crappiest bent clubs you got, my guy. And he goes, do you need balls? And I was like, can I rent those too? And they all laughed and they're like, no, you have to buy them. The guy was like, you might be looking for these. And it's like balls that they've collected from the woods that are trash and used and they're cheaper than other ones. And I'm like, yeah, I want those. Ooh, those ones are colorful. That's me golfing. So Me and Joel, we get a golf cart and off we go. And everybody else needs to warm up on the driving range. They're all sitting out there practicing, and we're just like, all right, whatever. What does this club do? Tink. Ridiculous. We're just having a grand old time smashing the ball as hard as we can. Turns out, for these 2 days that we went golfing, we went to 2 notoriously tough courses. And the people who knew how to golf were taking it very seriously, because this affects their score, right? Apparently, as a golfer, your score is an average of like what you are, your strokes per an 18-hole game from the various courses that you play at. So it's not just one, it's you need to perform at all of your different games. So these people are keeping very close tabs on things, observing all the rules. And I was perfectly happy just to get it on the green. That's the Gus handicap. The hole putting green, that's the hole. Good job, I made it there in par. They were less amused. We didn't care, and we had such a good time. Meanwhile, these guys would take a swing and be furious if it went off into the trees. I'm like, wow, look at that sucker go off into the trees. Woo, it's a good thing we got spares. Why is it that this thing that everybody professes to love so much, golfing, is a source of so much misery? These guys, and I love them to death, and they're pretty positive guys generally, like all of them are fairly positive people. We're getting mad about all sorts of stuff. Oh, the wind, oh, the sun, oh, they didn't do this, this ground wasn't kept, this trap is wrong, this stupid water thing, why would they design the golf course this way? This is unnecessarily difficult. Just constant complaints about everything. Why is it that people who golf for fun, who go out there and say, yeah, I want to go out there, I want to golf, are often so miserable when they golf? They were only happy when they did something remarkable while golfing, I noted. One of them hit a good birdie on a tough hole, and that was like a high for him. The rest of like 2 hours, and then not happy anymore. Meanwhile, I'm like playing them up the whole time. I was like, that was an amazing shot. And I did it for everybody because, you know, they did great things. They didn't see it that way. They couldn't enjoy their own victories. Yeah, they might have been small victories. Yeah, they maybe weren't miracles. Yeah, they weren't like, they're not going to go down in the annals of history, but they were cool. They were noteworthy to me. It looked really cool. They recovered from a bad situation. Well, I shouldn't have been in a bad situation to begin with. Okay. You made par. It should have been a birdie. I don't know how to cheer you up. I don't know how to make your day better, friend. How much did you pay to be out here? How much did you pay for those fancy ass clubs? Meanwhile, I paid like nothing. Green fees, cart, crappy rentals, the balls, the throwaway balls, like had a grand old time. And I'm just like finding balls as we went along to replace the ones that I was losing. And I'm like, we broke even. I don't care that I'm not using a Titleist 3 weighted this way for this and that and all of these different things. And like, I didn't need to know any of that to have a good time. And I feel like knowing all of that and knowing that's not my ball, I can't use that. It's not this perfect specific weight. It takes something. It robs something of the experience. There seems to be a line that we cross. There seems to be like a step too far where you are with a thing, with a source of joy, be it gaming or golf or something that you do as a hobby, a sport, all of these things, all these pursuits. There seems to be a line that's one step too far and it stops being fun. And I think it comes with the pursuit of excellence. And sometimes this happens by default, and sometimes this happens because we just get deeper into whatever it is. An example is Apex Season 5. I was at my peak game in Apex. I was as good as I was gonna get. And I was feeling pretty hot. And for me at least, this was my own particular problem. I started getting impatient with my friends, with my squad. I went from Season 0, where I was completely dependent on the good graces of my squad mates to teach me everything, to hold my hand, to be patient, to wait while I dragged behind them. The good graces of them for months, until I finally got to a point where I was proficient and I didn't need hand-holding. And then baby steps past that. And then I kept putting in more and more hours than my friends. And I started getting good, really good. And then I'd play with my friends who didn't play so often anymore, and I would become impatient with their inability to keep up. And I started getting mad at people. That was my step too far. That was a bridge too far. These were my friends. These are people that I'm gaming with to spend time with. And all of a sudden, Apex angered me to play. Season 4, we all started getting very frustrated with things because of the state of the game. I wasn't proficient with like shotguns, and it turned into a shotgun meta, and I hated it. So we stopped playing. I was in Texas doing military stuff. I was on the laptop, and I had several of you wonderful people come play a couple other random games with me for a little while. So we could take a break from Apex because it was so tilting. Shins stuck with it. He did not take a break to go play other games with us. In season 5, a handful of us who'd really committed were really popping off. And I got to come home, back on a PC that could function with the game, had a really great time. But halfway through the season, I was so fed up with the state of things. They nerfed Pathfinder, I was playing Loba, Loba was bugged, it was a disaster. And I didn't get any joy, no happiness from playing Apex anymore. Shins kept on playing. Him and another, they started playing all the time, and they got really, really good. And they had a different take on this. When they stepped across the line, they had a different reaction to that than me. They didn't get mad at teammates, they got mad at themselves. They started thinking, I'm supposed to be carrying here. All the hours that I have in, I should be doing better. And all of a sudden, it was just like this golf example. I could say, wow, that was an amazing play. And they'd go, not amazing enough. You just killed 2 out of the 3 of those guys by yourself. Yeah, but it wasn't all 3. I'm over here dead weight. And these 2 will get down on themselves for not 1v3ing when I insta-die and did 14 damage to one of them. They stepped across the line, and it turned into self-deprecation. It turned into, there are expectations on me. Another friend, very good at the game, tried streaming fairly early in Apex's life. Streaming negatively impacted their Apex. The streaming was a distraction. It cost you frames, it cost you your attention, you're wondering what chat is saying, you're trying to be on for people, and it took away from Apex. Now all of a sudden, Apex wasn't something that you could dedicate yourself to. Now there was something else. You've been robbed of the joy in its whole form. And this individual decided to stop streaming. They said, no, I'm not gonna. And that's a fascinating thing. And I'm very excited to delve there tonight. That is a big part of this. But first, a message from our sponsor. No, sponsors. Can you imagine? Me, sponsors. No sponsor would touch me with a 10-foot pole. Ridiculous. That is a good one, Gus. You told a funny. That'll do. Good enough, good enough. All right. Gaming for a living. Now, several of you have undertaken this thing with me. You guys are in this mess. It's a talk that is relevant to everyone, not just to those of you who are trying to actually do something with this. It is relevant to all of us who have pursuits that we like and enjoy and wish to do something with, more than just a hobby. But as we've talked about here, there's that risk. What happens when you step across that line? Different things depending on your persuasion and your personality. Yes, as we've discussed with various Apex examples, just how different one's response can be. This will be telling also. This will be informative for those of you who wonder about some of the behind the curtains of this endeavor. That is streaming. Not necessarily just chatting, but gaming for streaming. So, tell me if this is accurate to you. When you first thought about streaming, you thought, like I did, I'm playing video games anyways. I'm pretty good at them. I play them often and with a group of people, and they're pretty cool too. Why don't I stream? I'm already playing the games. I might as well download OBS, make a Twitch, go live. I might as well make a few bucks while I'm gaming anyways. That's all I need to do. I'm already here doing all the stuff. Now I just need to hit go live. Maybe I'll get a camera someday, maybe not. Or do they really need those? So many people that I have talked to thought the exact same thing as me. I'm already playing video games, and they're popular video games. I play Apex. Apex is at the top of Twitch. Shouldn't be too hard. All I have to do is hit go live. At the end of last spring is when I was finally convinced to start streaming by a friend. Fausty, where are you, my friend? Where are you? Busy man. Busy man. He finally convinced me to stream, and I said, okay, I'm gonna give this a go. Let's see if we can't make something of it. My personality, though, means that I half-ass nothing. Excuse my French. I don't do anything halfway. So I was in school for biomedical engineering. I was at college doing a bunch of coursework, and I said, yeah, I could maybe squeeze this in. Maybe. And I worked really hard. And I started doing research. And I said, okay, let's figure it out. Let's figure out what the legal hurdles are. Let's see where to begin. Let's see what I ought to be doing with this. Let's see how to monetize. Let's understand the contracts. Let's do all of it. So, okay, next step says Twitch. It has a bunch of arbitrary benchmarks for growth. And it says, hit these things and we will offer you an affiliate contract. That means you get to be affiliated with us. When people say the name Twitch and Twitch streamers, they include you. You are affiliated with us. Legally, professionally affiliated with Twitch. Isn't that something? Okay. How do I do that? You need to have 3 average viewers for the last 30 days of streaming. It needs to be like over 12 hours of streaming, and you have to get 50 followers or 60 followers, 50, 60, whatever. When you're just starting and your 3 friends follow you, and then you call up your neighbor and you say, hey, I'm doing this thing. Would you mind following me? I need to hit 50 followers. That can seem really tough. And it was for me. It was a very daunting thing for me. I worked very hard to hit those 3 average viewers and to get 60 followers. I got 3 average viewers long before I got 50 followers. And immediately I realized, based on my research, doing all of the normal average streamer things that Twitch recommends and that every streamer, virtually all the small streamers do, is not the way to make a living out of this thing. And it was very daunting what I learned. Some brief statistics here, and I'm pulling from memory here, so I'm paraphrasing, and my statistics may be slightly dated here. But before COVID, I think it was 2 years before COVID, it was like 2017, 2018. Guess how many people were streaming on Twitch? 2 million. Well, that's a lot of people. If I'm gonna start streaming in 2017, 2018, whatever the heck that was, I am literally less than 1 in a million. I'm 1 in 2 million people. Well, okay, that's a freaky number. That's a freaky thing to hear. Okay, fine. COVID. Then what? You guys know how many people stream right now? Active streamers on Twitch, not people who have accounts, people who actively stream. How many people stream on Twitch right now? It's over 10 million. We went from being less than 1 in a million, worse off than 1 in a million, to being worse off than 1 in 10 million. That's kind of crazy. I saw that statistic very early into this, like a week into this, and I went, okay, what am I gonna do to stand out? If I'm 1 in 10 million, why would people who like Apex choose to watch me instead of Ace? Shroud's another good example. Wig, why can't I think of all of the rest of their names right now? That's embarrassing. Noko, thank you. I immediately had to ask the question that so few streamers sadly ask themselves. Why would someone want to watch me play Apex rather than watch Ace play Apex? You can look up how many people are streaming Apex at any given time, especially on weekends, and see just what you're up against. And too few people are asking the smart question, the right question. Why would they pick me? And that means doing work. It means that you can't just log on and say go live. It means that you can't just chill and just play the game, as one of my friends found out. You can't just focus on the game. You need to engage. You need to talk to people. You need to be some sort of entertaining. You gotta have something. You need to have a plan and a business model, and you need to think about marketing. And now we're not just playing video games anymore. Just like that. Just like that. All you have to do is ask yourself, am I better than Ace? No, just like that. It's not gaming for money anymore. If you're not the dozen people on planet Earth who are wizards at these games. Whatever game it is you're playing, if you're not winning world championships, you're nobody. If you're resting on skill alone and you think you're going to get to make money playing video games, unless you are those people, like that, it's not gaming for money anymore. Some exceptions exist where people will come to them and say, I'll do all your marketing. I'll do all your humaning. We'll do all of it. All you do is get good and play the game. It's like Olympians, right? They don't need to do any of the PR. They don't need to do any of the marketing. They just need to hone their craft. Other people will do the work for them. Are you that good? Marketing, networking, not gaming for fun anymore. Unless you are Ace, unless you are Fade, unless you are Timmy, unless you are Noko. The best in the world are the only ones who, if they chose, don't need to actually do the rest of it. They still need to put in the time, and they need to stream constantly and consistently, and we'll get to that too. But speaking of monetization, we need to hit 1,000 subscribers, which is free on YouTube. Links below. Go find the things. Right away, the bubble burst because I started asking the right questions. And instantly I said to my friends who were considering streaming and those who had started streaming, this is big. And actually this proof of concept of mine, this project for the summer, it's a little tougher than we thought. It's going to be different for everyone, but very narrowly here, the example of I'm going to hit go live and make money doing it while I'm gaming anyways, just whenever I feel like it. I'm going to hit go live because I'm on with the gang. We're going to play the games and it's going to make me money is a delusion. I can think of a dozen examples of people that I know or have known who stream or have streamed and consistently streamed to an audience of 0. It's not more time that you have to put in. It's more business that you have to put in. And the real danger is, yes, that's going to cost you the fun. Immediately when I said this to several friends when we began, people said, no, that's no, ridiculous. That's not how this works. Just get good. The statistics belie that. You can look it up, do the homework yourself. It's the reason that I haven't taken the affiliate contract. Some of you know this, some of you don't, and are waiting to hear what the heck I've got to say about the affiliate contract. I'll make it quick. If you read through it, and you don't need to read through, I read through because I studied law. I read contracts. You can find plenty of solid YouTube videos who will explain to you all of the minutia of the affiliate contract. All of the minutia. They will read through it, explain to you what the pros and cons are, what you can and can't do. The biggest one for me was now you have to have ads. And that's great that you're going to make money every time someone watches an ad. And you know how much money you make? Pieces of pennies, shavings of pennies, each time someone has to sit there and watch an ad. Now, you think to yourself, well, okay, that's fine. They add up. What is the cost of that, however? And I've said this here before, the cost is known. Statistics say that if you are going to someone's channel for the first time, you don't know who they are. You've never seen them before, no recommendation, whatever. You're going there for the first time. You owe them nothing. And you're greeted by an ad. 30% of you will leave. 30% of your audience, your potential audience, will leave the moment they see an ad. 30% of your growth leaves if you sign the affiliate contract. Now, I've had a bunch of you say to me, but we want to support you. I would happily watch an ad for at the beginning of your video, Gus, if it meant they'd throw a couple cents your way. Even if it's a couple cents, it adds up. I appreciate the sentiment. And I'd be lost without the support of my regulars. But you guys are past the ad. You're past that first introduction where you may have been steered away by seeing an ad for the first time. I'm not willing to compromise the community for a couple cents. Shins, I, and others have talked about the exceptions to this. Those are people who have backgrounds in shooters, people who had followings from before, and people who are unicorns because they started when Twitch started. You think the top 1%, no, the top 0.01% of Twitch right now, the people whose all their salary information was just leaked, job Twitch, you guys think those guys started yesterday? Shroud's been streaming for 10 years. Tim the Tapman, 10 years. 10 years. And they go back to the day when there was no when streaming was a new idea. When it was new and novel. They're grandfathered in. Those guys, you can't even compare yourself to. If you want to be Shroud, you're 10 years too late. If you want to be ace, you're 10 years too late. The kid started very seriously playing video games when he was 10 years old, and now he's 20 or something. He's got reflexes that are young, and he's got a decade of experience. A lot of these guys, they live at home with their parents. So many of these big Apex names, they live at home. They don't gotta pay rent. A bunch of their parents are like, wow, you're doing a really good job at this. Let's drop you on out of school. What? If all you had to do was game all day and hone your craft, great, good job. Can you do that? That the lifestyle that you've got? That the setup you have? Like, you guys can look back at some of Wig's earliest Apex videos when he blew up. He's living at home with his mom. It was like the moment he could go full time or something like that. And he called his mom into the room and they cried and it was a very sweet moment. That man doesn't have rent. Do you have rent? These are very serious considerations. If you guys can Google it, or you guys can look on YouTube. Shroud has videos where he's talked about getting his start. Shroud will say, I just kept streaming each day and I kept coming back to it. That's back when that's all you had to do. When all you had to do was show up each day and stream and stream and stream, because consistency is important. You know what else consistency is important in? A business. Here's an analogy. Here's a comparison that I heard that was quite telling. And here's a bit of behind the curtains for you guys, especially those of you who are trying to do content creation, perhaps be a streamer. Here's the biggest, like, 101 tip right after I take a drink. If you see a coffee shop somewhere, you're driving home from work, whatever, it's on your route, and you see a coffee shop, and you go, oh, look, a new coffee shop. I'd like to go try that out. I'm a big fan of coffee. Love to go see it. Good location. Let's go check it out. And you drive over and it's closed. You're like, 4 o'clock on a Wednesday. All right, whatever. What are their hours? There's no hours posted on the door. I'm sure I can Google it. Nope, they don't have a listing in Google and they don't have a website. You go to this coffee shop, they don't have a Google listing, they don't have a website, they don't have whatever. You're like, all right, it's coffee. Maybe they're a morning thing. You go back at 9 a.m., they're closed. Okay, whatever. You try again. You're driving by, you're like, hey, look, there's cars. Say they're open. You go over, it's 11 o'clock. You pop in, you're like, oh, this is pretty nice. And then they go, all right, bye, get out at 11:30. What? If your stream is a business front and people don't know when they can find you, what are you doing? If you were a business, if you were a bar, if you were a coffee shop, if you were a gym, if you were a fill in the blank, and people don't know when and where they can find you, your business won't survive very long, if it starts up at all. It is exactly the same with this. People ask successful streamers, what am I doing wrong? I've streamed all these hours. I have the affiliate contract. I've done all of this. Why aren't I growing? They will say, and I now do the exact same thing. I just go to that channel, that person's channel, and I click schedule. And then I click next week. And I see a lot of nothing. I see a big black space where all the days are. Nothing? No schedule? That is common to virtually every single streamer that I see that streams to an audience of 0. All of them have that in common. No schedule. Or they have a schedule and they never show up to their schedule. They've heard this advice before. They made a schedule and they don't honor it. You see on the website, you see on the Google listing, you see on the door, they open at 6. Great. You go at 6 and they're not there. What the heck? Maybe they're running a little bit behind. 6:30, not there. 8, not there. They just don't open that day. They just decide, not going to open today. Too hard, too much work. Are you ever going to go back? It's a business. One of two things happens when you figure this out. You dig in your heels and say, so be it. We're going to make it a business. I'm going to do the legwork. I'm going to do the research. We're going to give this an honest go. We're going to give this the old college try for realsies. Or you say, I didn't sign up I'm not starting a business. What? I'm out. And you either stagnate and never grow, or you quit. You either say, I'm going to treat this seriously, and I'm going to jump through all the hoops, and I'm going to dedicate a fixed amount of time to do it right, but less often, or I'm going to stagnate or quit. That's what the statistics say. That's what the research says. And that's what my own anecdotal experience has shown me. I look at stream like going to the gym. People might take it serious the first week, but after that, they slowly taper. Oh, the gym is a great example. Holy crap. Slowly taper off because they don't see the results right away. People stick with it and start seeing the results they want. That's a great example. Damn. Wish I'd have thought of that. Can I use that? And yeah, real life stuff is a very real consideration. The question is, can you build a brand around those considerations? Can you build a community around those considerations? And that's exactly where I want to go next. As usual, my brilliant chat have led me to the segue that I wanted. Wonderful. People often have a schedule, work schedule, sleep schedule, and free time. And that free time is when they can be there. And so even if they get the notification that you've gone live hours and hours earlier, it doesn't much matter. They're at work still, or they're asleep. Yes, some people will stick to that. Some people will pop up when they can. It's the question of, can you build your brand around that? This will be a case by case sort of deal, whether or not you can manage that. You're the first streamer I've watched on a regular basis because I know when you're streaming and I can plan to make it. Thank you, Joker. And you know what? It's why I make such a big deal out of it all the time, because that's worth making a big deal out of. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. Small segue, but I think it's a valid point to put in here. I hate when a CEO or military leader tries to say we're family or we're all partners. I hate that like Starbucks employees are all called partners. I hate when stores try to like give a name that says you're all in the club and you don't feel like you're part of a club and it's just a name. It's just for optics, but they don't live it out. That makes me crazy. I had a commander not too long ago say we were his tribe, and I'm like, who are you? Excuse me? I've seen you all of twice. Your tribe? Get out of here with that. And then he of course demanded something from us, right? We're all his tribe when he needs something. Makes me crazy. So I don't wantonly and for nothing say that we're trying to build a community here and that I'm really thrilled for the community that we're building here. The Discord, YouTube is just starting, but you know, it's going places, and this is something. It's remarkable, and therefore I must remark upon it to have such a group of people around. And I don't say it flippantly or for optics. Y'all are a thing. So you have to decide, can I build something here with what I have and the time that I have? Because it is not a functional business model if you want to do it for a living. That's a big phrase. For a living means something. That means earning a paycheck, a livable wage from doing this thing. I don't make, pardon me and pardon my candor, but I'm very transparent with you guys, you know this. I am making nothing from this. Nowhere even close to a livable wage. Not even a homeless person's wage. You literally make more money begging on a street corner, statistically, in my city, than you do doing what I'm doing 60 hours a week. 60 hours of work per week, minimum, is what I spend doing this. But the point about not taking the affiliate contract, once you're at a certain critical mass of viewership, then you can afford to have 30% of your audience bugger off when they see an ad. You can afford that. Guess when that is? Guess when that threshold is reached? Right around the time that you'd be a Twitch partner. That's when. Until then, which brings me neatly along, I had another example with a friend. I called him up and I asked him about this. This is, I think, an important and indicative thing because this moves beyond gaming. We're going to move beyond the gaming space here. So I calls up my friend, right? This man's has been into cycling for his whole life, most of his life. Got really big into cycling like early in high school and stuck with it, got competitive, got in really good shape doing it, went to like actual competitions and stuff and really loved it. Passionate about cycling, mountain bike and road bike. Did them both, but really loved mountain bike. We finished college. He's a mechanical engineer. He goes and gets a job as an engineer in a mountain bike company. Dream job, right? That's super cool. Amazing. Where do you guys think I'm going with this? This guy used to love going on rides. Used to ride all the time for fun. When he started, it was the same thing that you described, Shins. Like a gym membership. Like when you're starting out, there's the honeymoon phase, right? Oh my gosh, I'm working with this company. I get to ride with pro riders, get to take lunch breaks and just go for rides, get to do all this. That's great. Really loved it. He got to sit there and geek out about parts and like mechanics of bicycles, learned about the industry, learned how all these things worked at a manufacturing level, at a marketing level. And all of a sudden, it's not fun anymore. This man would have talked your ear off about hubs and tires, different tread patterns and densities and spreads and all this stuff, and all different components. Would have talked your ear off about them for hours before. Now, in his words, he said he'll never geek out about parts ever again. I'm not working. Why would I talk about any of that stuff when I'm not working? Because that's work now. Now, he's the geek. He's the lead engineer for the company. He designs all of those components. He knows everything about them from like conception as an idea to production to like getting them out there, having them on the road or on the trail, sees them in action. And if someone wants to come up to him and talk about hubs or tread, he has no interest because he just spent 8 hours doing that. It's no longer fun. Now it's work. What about riding? To Tink's question, what about riding? He said, that's a great question. I said to him, if somebody said to you, hey, map out a ride for us, where we want to do this trail. If you could pace us on this, we really want to see if we can hit this metric, do the work, a chore, a burden that someone has now inflicted upon him. He didn't ask to go do this. Someone says to him, hey, you want to go to this thing? No. I said, under what conditions do you still enjoy riding? And he said, if someone said to me now, hey, what do you think about going out to so-and-so trail? It's got lots of turnoffs and turnouts in case we change our mind or get bored or tired or it's too tough or whatever. And we'll bring a couple beers in the bag, and we'll go out and just see what happens. He said, oh yeah, let's go ride, because it's not work. And we dissected that a little bit because I said, there's something in there. Where's the distinction? Where's the line? Where is the line between those two scenarios? One is a step too far and one is acceptable. That's this conversation tonight. What is that line? His biggest complaint with riding, and this is fascinating too. This was an insight. I'm so grateful to have had this insight. I'm so grateful to have had this conversation with him. My friend really got into cycling because he had a really great coach when he was in high school. My friend, I don't think he would mind me saying this, it's part of his origin story, was very overweight in high school. He's got cruel genes from both parents. When I met him in college, skinny, normal dude, weighed the same as me, like pretty fit, pretty in good shape. He showed me a picture of him from high school. It looked like Ryan Reynolds in Just Friends, wearing the fat suit. It looked just like it. And I went, let's Photoshop or a fat suit or something. How'd you wear a fat suit and then ride a bicycle? Because it's him riding a bike, severely overweight. He got into it and loved it because the coach did such a great job. Coach was encouraging. Coach pushed him in all the right ways. Coach made him love this thing. And he committed to it. And he loved it. And he honed his craft. And he rode so much and so often. And he pushed himself. And he lost all the weight. Got to be in great shape. And here's the twist. Said friend has now, for several years now, been the lead coach for that same program. And he hates it. He just quit being the coach. He's got a bunch of other obligations. He just had his second kid. That is all, like, he's got big responsibilities, way more work responsibilities. Now he has to travel internationally for work and so forth. A lot of reasons. But he said coaching is miserable. Why? We teased this idea apart here. He said it's because of the expectation that now comes with it. People see that you are a coach and you work for a cycling company. You know all these things. You must be an expert in everything. And you must be the best coach in all different ways. And you're going to be the second coming. And all of those expectations are piled on top of what was just riding bikes, encouraging kids to be healthy, to ride. Yes, technique and stuff, sure. But this was supposed to be a passion project. This was supposed to be something that he loved. He's sitting here trying to help these kids in the way that he was helped. And the parents are mad at him for everything. Now there's expectation. Now there are demands. Now there's liability. What happens if he messes something up? That's on him now. Back when he was just a member of the team, all he needed to do was show up and try. Yes, try hard. Yeah, he needed to, show up. That's a big part of it. Lacing your shoes in the morning is the hardest part of getting out your door. What's different now? Now all of the expectation is on him. Now he's the expert. Now, if something goes wrong, he's the adult. Now, if some kid does something stupid that he told them not to do, it's still his fault. Now it's work. Now it's a burden. Now it's a chore. Now he needs to care about such things that he could have never conceived of when he was young. Dues? Are there club fees for this cycling team? What about meets if they're actually going to go compete? What about the logistics? He had a trailer, the team trailer, that he needed to haul to various places. Now he's got to go to meets. Now he has to travel. Now there's liability of traveling with the kids. Now the kids are in all these competitions and he needs to care about all of the registration stuff, all of the paperwork, all of the... It's work. Fundraising for the team, jerseys, getting money, work. What was great when he was 15 was great because he had no expectations. It was the cycling that he loved. Not the organization, not managing humans. He didn't have to do any of that when he was 15. He just needed to show up for himself. It's the same thing we do with gaming. If you can just show up and game, great. That's wonderful. But you won't make a living doing it. And if you do start to make a living doing it, it's going to start to look an awful lot like that. Marketing, networking, learning new skills like video editing so that you can get your content on a platform that has actual discoverability. Thanks for nothing, Twitch. Spending your time learning about the legalities of copyright law, learning how to fight wrongful copyright claims. Oh, legal claims, legally binding claims, disputes, contracts, business models, starting a company, an S-corp, sole proprietor, taxes, logistics of having a family, of having other work that I need to be doing. Yes. All of a sudden, it's not the same. And it can happen like that fast. And I've seen it happen to so many friends who've gone into their dream fields, including this one. And I'd love to hear your guys' examples. By all means, jump in and tell me what it is that you loved, what it is that gave you life, but stopped giving you life. And if you can, think about what may have been the straw. What was the bridge too far? How then can we sustain joy in pursuing what we love? I have what I think, as I threatened at the outset, is a solution to this. You guys have heard me talk in many talks already. The difference between happiness and joy. Happiness is fleeting, joy sustains. Joy undergirds, it underscores your life. It has to do with a way of being, a way of living. Happiness comes and goes with the moments. If I dropped my cigar, I would be unhappy. It's a fleeting thing. But my undergirding sense is that of joy. I have things that bring me joy in my life, and those persist. Joy persists. Happiness comes and goes. The answer to how you sustain joy, I think, and this is part of Gus-Talks, me processing out loud ideas, the notions that I have with you guys. Let me know what you guys think. The answer, I think, is hinted at in my friend's parameters for a ride that he would like and a ride that he wouldn't like. Someone says, go do this. How about you lead the way, you call the shots, you plot the course, you mark the time, you do all these things. And how about we just go, we figure it out, bring a couple beers. That implies that this is not going to be the most strenuous thing ever. It's going to be fairly chill. Expectations are fairly low. And there's lots of turnouts and places that we can back out if we just decide, meh, too hot, too cold, too whatever. Not feeling it today. One is work and the other is play. My question is, it's hinted at in the thing. What is it that he's doing the ride for? This goes back to my second Gus-Talk. It hit me today that I talked about this at length. The notion, at least, behind this at length in my second Gus-Talk, which is also my first YouTube edit, talks about pathos. What is it that drives you? What will sustain you when this thing that you're doing, this hobby that you have, this relationship that you have, like Thumper said, becomes intense? One, need will. Need will cause you to persist in something. If you are an Apex streamer and you got big streaming Apex and all you do is stream Apex all day long, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, what will keep you playing Apex? And can you think of anyone who does that who still likes Apex? And I mean unironically likes Apex. There's a reason that people burn out doing this. It comes down to pathos. Why are they doing it? What is the need? Need can sustain you. Need can push you. And I submit that there's two different kinds of need, two different genres of need, if you will. No, three? There's three different genres of need. One is obligations. If you have, like my friend, several times he's complained to me about the work. He complained to me about cycling and the business and all these things. And I said to him, why don't you quit? You guys remember the demographic that I described him as? He's got 2 kids. He's got a wife and 2 kids. Why doesn't he quit? He's the breadwinner. She works too, but now there's 2 of the kids. He's the chief breadwinner for the family. He can't. Obligation will keep him going back day in, day out. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and you don't have the money to do these other things, going back to work, you're going to keep going back out of need, out of obligation to do it. You have a sick relative that you're providing for. Obligation, perhaps, to do it, an aging parent, something like that. Or maybe you have medical needs. Maybe you have things that just cost a lot. Maybe just living is expensive. The second genre of need, I would say, is anger. And many of you may be familiar with this. I certainly am. What do you use as fuel? When I went through some hard things in my life, I used anger as my fuel. It was my motivation. It's what made me get up in the morning and keep going back to the grind. This can be like a chip on the shoulder. You get burned by work, by a friend, by colleagues, by whatever. You get burned somehow and you're like, I'm going to show them. No, they'll pay. Oh, no. I'm going to be the best at this thing and I'm going to show them. Maybe you got scorned by a girl. I get that one. Girl says, ew, no. I'm going to get in the best shape ever. You watch. I'm going to get an IG. I'm going to post. I'm going to have a 6-pack and then she'll be sad. Huh? Revenge, similar. I'm going to get revenge on someone. You break up and then I'm going to get in the best shape ever to show them they made a mistake by leaving me. I'm going to take their job. I'm going to rise through the ranks and and then I'm going to be in charge of them. That's your motivation to keep showing up and do a really good job. You can obviously see that some of these are not healthy. Another form of this hate thing is self-loathing. You look in the mirror and you say, there's no wonder she left. Stupid self. Get it together. We're going to go in the best shape ever. Anorexia, bulimia, various other eating disorders, doing drugs, doing steroids, doing whatever, looking in the mirror, being depressed, and saying, I'm going to change things. And it all comes from self-loathing. Not healthy. Then, the third genre of this is love. This can be like loyalty. Like in the Marine Corps, I was raised by mentors who demonstrated that they cared about me. They cared about my well-being. They cared about my success. They were very hard. I started training for the Marines when I was 13, 12 or 13. I think I just turned like 13. So that when I got into the Marines, I was dedicated to it. I was committed to doing it right. I knew all of the history. I knew all of the traditions. I knew all of it. Combine that with the brainwashing and so forth. Yeah, I had a loyalty to the Marine Corps. And I kept showing up and doing what was right out of loyalty to the Marine Corps. A real loyalty. I had this sense of camaraderie, this esprit de corps. And I really believed in it. And I kept showing up and doing the right thing day in and day out because I believed in that thing. That sort of need. That drove me to do this. You'll see the theme here. Loyalty can be like patriotism for the military, like my example, or it can be loyalty to a mentor, like I had before I joined. Loyalty to an instructor of something. Say you're in like a martial art and they are like a role model to you. You have loyalty to them, so you'll keep showing up and you'll keep doing it because of loyalty to them. This is the genre of love. This is a true belief in what you're doing. You are what in many fields would be called a true believer. You're not just a casual, you're a true believer in this thing. Committed. Actually believe in it. For better or for worse, this is your cause. Having something that you pursue that is greater than a paycheck. The answer, I think, to the question, the phenomena that we've discussed here tonight, friends, is you have to have a why that is bigger than, greater than the obligation. Can't only be a paycheck. And if it's only a paycheck, you'll lose your joy. If the reason that you're doing it is just for the money, you'll lose your joy. These streamers who are burning out in Apex, I don't know if you guys have seen this. I'm sure some of you have tried to keep up on these things, have seen this. There's a bunch of streamers out there, got their start in Apex, and then they got sick of Apex, and they went, I'd really love to play something else. Hey, what would you guys think if I went to play this other completely unrelated game? And they lose 90% of their community, and then they feel stuck. And then they keep going back to Apex, day in, day out. Why? Their audience was built on their Apex, and their Apex alone is what that means. They didn't have a cause underneath the Apex. If you don't have something underneath, if you don't have a cause that isn't the paycheck, you'll burn out. If the paycheck is all you seek, it won't be enough to create, let alone sustain joy. I posit thus that you have to have a cause. You have to know and define your pathos, your reason underneath it all, and then your work, if it be in that field, if it be aligned with that pathos that you define, you may yet keep your joy. Your joy may remain as it is and not become a burden, not become a chore. That's what I think. Personal example, this is me. The reason that I can put in this many hours to this thing and not be burnt out is because I established my why very early. You guys, the vast majority of you wonderful humans, have heard it. You've heard what my why is. When I started this endeavor, I asked myself, if I'm not going to be ace, because I'm not willing to put in 12 hours a day to play Apex 6 days a week, what am I going to be? If I'm not part of an org, not good enough to be part of an org, what am I going to do? What makes me stand out in 10 plus million people? And not just what makes me stand out. What is it that I bring? The question you have to ask yourself when you're starting a business, when you're running a business, and I do mean running, I don't mean as an employee necessarily. The question you have to ask yourself when starting a business is, what is my value add? That's the phrase. What do I add? If you're joining into the Apex streaming marketplace as a brand new streamer, what do you add to the space that other people don't already provide at the same level, if not better? What is it that you add to this space? What is it that you bring that is unique? Scope of our context here tonight. What is it that you will want to keep bringing? What is it that will bring you back each time? What is it that you could do as a streamer that will make you want to set a schedule, that will make you want to learn video editing, marketing, legal stuff? What is it that you could do that will sustain the joy that you have in this thing? The answer, again, is in my friend's bike ride. And you guys will no doubt have already puzzled this out yourselves. What is distinct? What is different between those two rides? What is different between him coaching and him being coached? What my friend was passionate about was riding, not managing, not logistics, not leading, not being a mentor to kids, not figuring out the minutia of all the best ways to get a kid engaged and do all of this stuff. No. His passion wasn't people. His passion was riding. All the things that you can do riding, all the places you can go and see, and all the tricks and cool guy things that you can get up to as a rider. That's what he loved. It makes perfect sense that he didn't thrive as a coach. But his coach, when he was in high school, from everything I've heard about this man, he was a mentor. He cared about kids and really wanted to see them on the right path. He was passionate about youth and being a mentor, being a father figure, being an encourager, being that person in people's lives. That's what got him out of bed. That's what got him fired up. That's what made him a great coach. And it's why my friend didn't enjoy coaching. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with my friend not wanting to be the coach anymore if his passion isn't for the kids. What does being a coach of a high school cycling team mean? It means mentoring kids. You're not preparing these kids for triathlons. You're not pushing them to be in the Olympics. You're not their coach for a professional team. You're a high school coach. Why do it? If you're not a mentor, I think you shouldn't. I think you should let a mentor do it. I submit to you that all of those examples that I put out earlier about my friends and my experience with Apex go to the same place. That's my answer. To you, Shins, to all of everybody else who's dealt with this and struggled with this, that's the answer. What is it that we lost? What line did we cross when I got mad at Apex? What was I doing in Apex that it wasn't fun anymore? What was fun to me in Apex that I put 10, 12-hour days in for a year that stopped? What stopped? What changed? What was fun was hanging out with you guys. What was fun in Apex was meeting the interesting people, having conversations like this, offline, online, while playing. What was fun to me in Apex was the community that we built, the friends that I made along the way. That's what I liked about Apex. What line did I cross? Instead of sitting back here and relishing the time that I had with my friends, I started taking it very seriously. And now Apex wasn't a source of joy. It wasn't a source of happiness either. Now Apex was work. Now I needed to be putting in hours to get good. We were trying to compete in tournaments. We were trying to get to levels where we could be competitive. Season 4 is when the skill-based matchmaking really hit Apex. It happened in Season 3, halfway through Season 3. Season 4 is when they really cranked it to 11. And all of a sudden, just to compete, you needed to sweat. Now you can't just casually hang out with your friends. You're not going to have fun anymore. Now it's going to be miserable all the time. Every match was miserable, unless you were giving it every ounce of attention you had. That's the answer to why I stopped liking Apex in that moment, because we weren't playing it for the right reasons anymore. I suspect that you could look back and see when Apex stopped being fun. And I suspect the answer is when you stopped playing it for the reasons that brought you to it in the first place. When we first met and were playing Apex together, we were all just having a grand time, exactly like my golf example. We were all just running around like a bunch of jackasses, being silly, doing dumb things, perfectly happy to land shots, run into a streamer and get killed by him. Cool, that's a fun story. We won a game even though we're terrible. That was so cool. It was really neat. Until the sweat got cranked up. And now you couldn't play it for that reason anymore. Because now every single lobby was a fight for your life. Now it's not about the community. Now it wasn't about doing it for friends. Now it was about staying alive. Now it was about trying to keep up with what the game thought you were capable of. I think the same is true for all of these experiences, all of these examples you guys have given. Val's example about lacrosse. Perfectly happy playing lacrosse when she was young, learning the game with everybody else. You score a goal? Sick. You caught the thing? That's amazing. All of that was fun, and you guys got to experience the fun together, and it brings happiness, these moments of highs and doing these things. And you get a little further along in this, and all of a sudden, you get a pro coach who wants to scout you for college. Now you need to train every single day for it. Now the expectation is that you will do all of these things. You're going to rise to this, and it's going to be great, and you have to push, push, push. What is it that you were playing for? What is it that you loved? And are you still doing it? If what you loved was the spontaneous enjoyment of learning a new thing and maybe getting slightly good at it and having good moments, that's going to disappear. Is it hanging out with your friends? Well, now that you're with this professional coach and you need to do private coaching and training, and now there's team meets and professional meetups and all of the scrimmages, and you're not doing that now either. So she left. The reason that she loved it stopped being the reason that she was playing it, and she moved away from it. As soon as they added SBMM, what we loved about playing the game wasn't the reason that we were still playing it. All of a sudden, I had people saying, you need to get good with these weapons. Why? I hate those weapons. It's because they're the meta. I don't like using those weapons. Yeah, but you need to learn them if you're gonna be competitive. Yeah, all right. Now it's work. Thumper, I think the same thing was probably true for you. You started working with an eye on excellence. You said, here's my all. Match my energy. Recognize this thing and what I'm doing. I'm doing something excellent for you. And they were like, hey, good job or whatever, or show off, or, oh, wow, hey, you did that thing? Great. Let's pile on responsibilities that weren't yours before for no extra pay because you went above and beyond. You're punished for doing a good job. And you said, I was doing it because it was the right thing to do, to help people, to train people. If you did that and were not positively reinforced in it, but instead somehow punished for doing well, anyone would leave. That again goes to the difference between leaders and managers. That's Gus-Talk number 2. We're talking Apex meta. We're always talking Apex meta night. It's always happening. It works its way into all of our conversations, all of them. That's another decent example night, is talking about the Apex meta. We used to love talking about the Apex meta, and we had a grand time just sitting around and talking about these things, confabulating about where the game was going, what was changing, what should change. And we really had no idea. We were all new. But the more we got into the game, the more we played it, the more we understood about the game, it stopped being fun. And then it became patch notes. Where are the fixes? Why isn't it more? Why isn't it better? Why have they allowed X, Y, and Z to go on for so long? This has been happening for how long and they haven't fixed it yet? Now, when they say we increased the damage by 0.5 on this particular weapon, someone loses their mind. What do you mean you buffed the X, Y, and Z? Are you out of your gourd? You've got to be kidding me. That thing's destroying the game. This character is too problematic for the meta. This and that, competitive this, casual that. In Pathfinder, branch off 3.5 edition D&D, we'll talk about the cheese, their builds. Over time, I've become very jaded to those discussions because almost always about broken things. Nothing of the fun for the unique, just what's broken or annoying. Exactly. So Knight, you said you've been playing D&D for how long? You still have your joy for it. You're still excited for it. You don't hate the thing. It's not a burden to you. But it's quite telling right there that there are aspects of it, facets, however small, that are a burden to you, that are irksome, that are annoying, that do steal your happiness, that do take, not give. And I think that right there is telling. What is it that made you play D&D in the first place? Did you say you liked running these things? You liked creating these things? So there's a magic for you in the creating, in the creativity of it, in the imagining, in the bringing an idea to life, into seeing something be made real by your hand, by your effort, by your work, by your guidance. That is what gets you excited about the game, which means so long as you keep doing that thing, you won't lose your joy. So long as that's the reason you keep playing it, you won't lose your joy. Now, what if you were hired by the company and you're like, oh my God, dream job. I love this game. And they said, we want you to do our accounting. And you got to know all the ins and outs of all the money of the game, how to market, all the marketing things, and where you need to launch to. And this new card is going to go here. This can apply to any of you with your various tabletops. And you were no longer allowed to do the thing that you love with the game, because all of your time was eaten up by this other thing that they wanted you to do within the company. Would you still love it as much? When you got to play it with friends the right way, when you got to create, when you get to do it for the reasons why you started doing it, you'll still have joy. Think about Olympians. How many Olympians do it because they love it? And how many of them were pushed to be the best by their parents, who got them a coach, who pushed them even harder, who said, oh, no, you're going to go to the Olympics. And they went, the Olympics? Yeah, you're going to go. You're going to do it. You're going to represent Team USA. And you're going to train 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, forever, for this one game that happens that you're going to have one shot at your whole life. How many of them see it as a burden versus a joy? I would imagine that if there were an Olympian out there who maybe struggled with something in their past, say they had a physical anomaly, something that befell them, no fault of their own when they were young, or maybe they injured themselves, sure, and they were somehow disabled, do they then go, no, I'm going to rise above this. I'm not going to be defined by this thing. I'm not going to be defined by what happened to me, my circumstances. I'm going to be defined by what I make of them. I am more than my circumstances. I am more me, and I will push, and I will succeed. I'm going to do this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to become a runner. Even though my legs don't work right now, I will get them to work. I am the master of my domain, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to push. That's a cause. That's a reason. That's a driver. Those ones may yet love their craft when they reach the Olympian level. Those ones may yet love waking up early to practice, to train, because they have something deeper, something greater, something underneath. Not pressure from peers or parents or coaches, something else. They can have their joy that comes from pushing themselves beyond what others said that they could do for all the right reasons, for healthy reasons, and they could push and they can thrive. But that's very different than somebody else pushing you to do something. If that be the case, as long as you can find a pursuit where you can do that, you'll not be easily robbed of your joy. Thumper's example perfectly sums that up. She's like, I don't want your money. What don't you get? She said to them. What don't you get? I'm not interested in your money. I want you to do right by people. That's a cause that you can do anywhere. And it's a cause that can drive you. So long as you can find someone to champion, so long as you can find humans to do right by, and there's humans in need, you can find something to be joyous about. If, however, all you're going for is the paycheck, you may get your paycheck, just like I said in the second Gus-Talk, but you will come up empty in the end. You will find no joy in this thing. It's in the pathos. It's in the cause. It's in the subtext of your life. It's in your reason for being. It's your why. I think that's it. I think that's the line. So long as you're not pushed beyond the line of your why, so long as you're not taken out of this thing, the reason that you undertook it in the first place, you will continue to find joy in this thing. But the moment you are forced, usually, or compelled, to step beyond that, to pursue it in a way that you never meant to, is when things fall apart. I don't want to be rich, but I do want to be comfortable. The question is it the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning? Do you wake up going, comfort. I can't wait to earn a paycheck. That money coming in. That's where the delineation is. Yeah, we all got to earn a living. And yes, I'm trying to do this thing. I'm trying to grow this community. I am pragmatic enough to understand that, yeah, if this is going to be a business, and now I've really committed to this thing, if I can do this, and I can create content that is meaningful for you guys, the money will come. I'm not dumb. I know that I need to monetize at some point, but I'm still in a proof of concept. You guys are still testing me. You guys and the rest of the world out there are still testing the water with me. Is this a face? Is this a mug? Is this content worth paying for? Is this content that I want to see in the world? And am I going to vote for that with my dollars? Is this more meaningful to me than my Netflix subscription? Is this something that I look forward to? Is it something that adds value to my day, to my week, to my life? The world still has to decide that about me. At that point, I will have earned the right, I think, to earn a living doing this. Until then, we're still in the proof of concept. I'm still seeing if I can be a value add to your guys' life, and you me. You're seeing about me still too. And I'm not offended by that. That's just the reality of things. We're not at a paycheck level yet, friends. But someday I hope to earn that trust of, well, not the world. That's, but you know what I mean. The world, metaphorically. What? Whoa, 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 anonymous. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Beyond anyone else I've seen, deserve to have a voice. And I hope that this will help you get there. Thank you. I repeat my earlier sentiment, especially in light of this thing we're talking about and how it's been framed. The vote of confidence means a great deal. All right, so Shaun White, Olympic snowboarder, he said, find something you love doing and find a way to get paid doing it. If you're ace and you really love being technically proficient at that game, at shooters, find a way to get paid doing it. Good for him. He did it. And he found a way that other people will pay him to do that thing. Think about Hayate. Many of you in here will have met Hayate. He is a professional challenge runner of games. He challenges himself to do very difficult, technically difficult games and take no damage doing them. World records, world firsts, holds a bunch of them. He likes the technical challenge, pushing himself to experience games in that very specific way. That's a very specific kind of gamer, and he's trying to monetize that. Good. So long as he can find a way to monetize doing that, then he won't lose the joy in doing it. But when we started this adventure, when we started this tonight, I said I had to ask myself, why stream? If the notion that you just click go live and you'll make money playing video games isn't realistic, because it isn't. The statistics are there. We've talked about them at length tonight. I won't beat that dead horse. If that's not there, why stream? I said, what is my value add? If this is something I want to do, why do it? Why would I want to do it? What could I do with a camera and a microphone? Gus-Talks. Do life together with people. Have meaningful conversations about all manner of things. Broaden my own horizons. Gain wisdom. Garner experience and stories from you guys so that I can become wiser, so that I can become more well-rounded, so that I can then in turn serve you guys better. It's cyclic. It's a cycle of giving and taking and giving and taking. And I want to give. You guys who've been here have heard me say many times why I want to do this thing, what I'm striving for. I want to make meaningful content, whatever form that may take, because you have meaning. I want to make content of value in a world full of things that are crumple up and throw away. I want to make something of value because you have value. I want to make content, sometimes silly, sometimes serious, but always with you guys in mind. I want to make content that matters because you matter. You're my reason. That's the reason that I'll wake up in the morning and not hit the snooze to come out here and learn more video editing so that I can make more videos, so that I can do this better. I don't want to just stream more and more and more and more and burn people out. I want to make quality, meaningful content. I want my time to be an investment in people. And I can't do that if I'm a mess. I can't do that if I'm running around and just hitting go live whenever I happen to be playing video games. That's not a cause. I made the decision at the beginning of summer that I was going to do this for real, and now I'm committed to it. Now we're in it. Now we're putting in the real hours. Before it was hours that I could spare. Between my other obligations, between all the other things I was pursuing, this was one of the things. Now this is the thing. Now, what my task, what my day-to-day, what my job looks like has changed. But my pathos has not. My cause has not. My reason for doing what I'm doing has not. It looks different. I'm in front of a camera now. I was never in front of a camera before, but my purpose hasn't changed. That's why I can find joy in this still. That's why I don't lose hope in this. Yes, it can be stressful. Yes, it can be difficult. And yes, it means adjusting to some things, but I'm still willing to do it. And I'm still glad to do it. I'm still excited to do it. So what does it mean for me playing video games going forward? It's complicated. It means that I don't get to play Apex as often with my friends anymore. But you know what? We were playing less anyways, because we weren't playing it for the reasons that we started playing it. Those reasons for everybody evolved and changed. And as a result, split some of us apart. Some people really wanted to pursue it in a very high level way. And that became their thing, pursuing it at that level. Me, I never lost I just want to hang out with my friends. And that means our courses have diverged. And that means that we won't play Apex as often anymore, if at all. I game for the community. And if I don't have the community, what am I doing? What am I doing with this time? There's a bunch of single player games that I could play, but now I just don't want to play them unless I'm playing them with you guys. And that makes it hard to pick up new games. Now it's like, ugh, I can't pick up an MMO. It would consume me unless we got to the point where it became a community thing that we could do together in a meaningful way, and that this and the other talks like this weren't undermined. And that's difficult because, again, we play games for different reasons. Some people play them to be the best, and I can't ever really now hang out with those people because I will never put in the hours that it takes to be the best. I'll put in the hours for this, for community, for people. That's why I do Gus-Talks in real life, in Discord with people, on the phone like I did today, several hours with friends, and in real life, just all the time, in a coffee shop, at a restaurant, for hours. That's what I'll put my time into. I will put my time into you guys, to being the best human that I can be for you. I must here thank you guys again for your ceaseless kindnesses. I'm going to wear out the word. I'm going to wear out humbled, but I'm humbled and greatly encouraged to continue to do this thing. I can't help but feel that it's perhaps the right thing at the right time, given this strange world that we're in. It's very encouraging to me in a darkening day, but I digress. Friends, it continues to be my privilege to have you in my life, to you all, to being the sort who would partake in this thing, and to the future that perhaps we have. Cheers. What manner of mischief, apart from the seriousness of tonight, will we get up to tomorrow? Come and see. Come and see. Till then, I wish you guys marvelous time zones, wherever ye be, and I will see you on the other side.